Good afternoon, good evening, or good day, wherever you are in the world, watching the professor talking about EminiFX and AD Alexandre. In my prior video, I've said that the receiver, his name is David Castleman. He's an attorney in New York City. He was appointed to take over EminiFX computer system. Last video, if you watch on my video, last video, I said that I was going to review the report from the receiver and then give you a resume, kind of tell you exactly what's in the report. Now, I should also tell you that the report is on my website, qnewsblog.com. If you want to read the report yourself, please feel free to read the report. But this report is important for many reasons. Before I tell you what's in the report, I want to tell you this report is important. Number one, this report was not prepared by the U.S. government. It was prepared by the FTC in the civil case, and this was prepared with the assistance of AD Alexandre as the defendant and as one of the two defendants, EminiFX and him, in the civil case. I have to tell you, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, I have to tell you that what's in the report is not positive at all. It's not positive at all. And certainly, this is what I've been afraid of for a very long time, even back in September 2021, when I was invited to invest in EminiFX. Now, first of all, I've spoken before about a Ponzi scheme, and I think I have explained what a Ponzi scheme is. And it looks like EminiFX, just like the government said, and just like that I thought, was what we call a classic Ponzi scheme. Now, I know some of you who support AD Alexandre might get upset about what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is what's in this report that I have in front of me. It's a report that that the receiver filed in court. It's public document. AD Alexandre read it. His lawyer read the report. I have gotten a copy of the report here. You know, it's about 61 pages, and I myself have read the report. Now, first of all, let me say that originally we were talking about maybe $59 million invested by 62,000 mostly Haitian American. However, according to the report from this receiver, the Haitian community invested some $250 million with EminiFX and AD Alexandre. So that you understand the importance, it's $250 million that came out of the Haitian community invested in EminiFX. Now, before I go into detail, I want to tell you that this is an opportunity, like I've always said, for the community to learn, for us to do better next time. Now, what's in the report? First, the receiver described the work that they've done since they've taken over this case, since the receiver was appointed back in May 12, 2022. Now, the receiver had gone out and hired a group of forensic experts, and this group have been working together with AD Alexandre and his lawyer to get all the password for the EminiFX system so that the receiver could take a look at it. Now, the receiver has taken over everything. AD Alexandre is not in control of EminiFX. There's no one associated with EminiFX who's in control of EminiFX. Basically, the website is shut down. The receiver has taken over. Now, here's what I want you to pay attention to. I know a lot of you were saying that you received your 5% every Friday, or your 9%, 9.9% every Friday, that you didn't have any problem because you receive your money. Okay? I'm going to read, I'm not going to tell you, because a lot of you speak English. I'm going to read to you what is in the report, what the receiver is saying. And remember that those statements have been reviewed by Mr. Alexander. I'm sure he's read the report, he's already heard the report. They didn't have a problem with what the receiver found. In other words, they didn't object to that language. Now, here's the part I'm going to read. Okay, this is on page 4. This is on page 4. Okay, page 4 of the receiver's report. I'm going to read what the receiver wrote. Okay. The receiver's initial investigation was generally based on financial record obtained by the state, analysis of the data from EminiFX servers, and informal interviews with certain EminiFX employees. Based on his team's initial investigation, users of EminiFX system create accounts using an email address, social security number, and other information, and then deposited cash or cryptocurrency into the system. The account balances were maintained in US dollars, and users maintain funds in either their e-wallet or their trading wallets. Every Friday, a weekly return of between 5 and 9.9% was applied to increase every EminiFX user's account balance. The same return on investment were for all users. Although most users did not redeem, some did, and the account balance after the return on investment were applied was the amount that could be withdrawn after EminiFX deducted a 15% withdrawal fee. The receiver also began to investigate all possible investing activity that could support the weekly return being applied to EminiFX users' account. The receiver was unable to locate any evidence for the existence of the robo-assisted advisor's account in any EminiFX file or anywhere in the code base. The most significant commodities and trading appears to have occurred in Alexander's personal brokerage account at Brokerage One using company fund, which resulted in over $7 million in losses by the time the receiver was appointed. Now, I just read to you what the receiver said on his report to the court. Basically, what EminiFX was doing and Eddie Alexander was doing was what we call a classic Ponzi scheme. Basically, Eddie Alexander and his friends and whoever was working with him, they probably may be indicted too, basically create a system. They create this computer system and they invite people to open accounts. So let's say you are an investor, you open your account, you create your e-wallet. This is all done in the computer, okay? And you send your money to Eddie, whether you put it on his personal account or whether you deposited cash into EminiFX account at Bank of America, you put your money in. Now, if you go to your computer and inside the EminiFX system, you look at your account, let's say you invested $5,000. That $5,000 is there. Now, every week when you log in, they design the system to add to your $5,000 between 5 and 9.89%. So if you invest $5,000, 2 weeks later, you go into your computer, then you'll see an increase of between 5 and 9.89%, which means that your $5,000 could be now at $5,750. or $6,000. Okay. Now, this is done in the computer system. So this is not, something that is novel. This is not something that takes a lot of brain power. Anybody with a computer could have done this. This was nothing, that was a trade secret. This is what EminiFX did. This is what the report said that they did. There's no way to argue against that. This is what the system did. The system was there to increase the account. Now, normally, if you are investing, you have to use the money, invest the money. Then when you trade, if you make a profit, you then apply that profit to each account based on the investment. That's not what happened. So basically, Eddie Alexson and his supporters or the people that were working with him was just basically doing the exact same thing that Bernie Madoff did when he basically took $150 billion from his own community, mostly the Jewish community. So it's safe to say that Eddie Alexson may be considered the Bernie Madoff of the Haitian community. It is sad to say, and it is hard to accept, because I know many of you put a lot of trust on what was going on. Many of you for the last 2-3 months have argued with me, have made comments thinking that I have something against Eddie Alexandre, or I'm speaking bad about another Haitian. That's not the point at all. And I think the receiver's report made it very clear that there was absolutely no investment being made on behalf of any of the investors. No investment. The money we're giving to Eddie, to EminiFX, some of it he used on his own personal account. Some of it he sent overseas, and I'm going to talk about the cryptocurrency account in the country of Estonia. Some $85 million worth of cryptocurrency, 3,650 BTCU crypto coin worth about $85 million. This is what happened, guys. I know that some of you are shaking your head. I know some of you may be very upset. Sometimes it is easy. It's not easy. I gotta tell you, it's not easy to tell someone that they've been defrauded, especially if they have trust on the person they've been dealing with. But what's in that report that I just read to you, I've read the paragraph to you, is not something that the receiver made. The receiver doesn't have any personal issue with Eddie Alexson. The receiver simply report what is there. And the receiver was able to get into the system because the court had ordered Eddie Alexson to work with the receiver to try to find and safeguard the assets of EminiFX. Now, this is it, guys. This is what it is. And I know that some of you probably jumping up and down and saying, no, this is what it is. There was never any investment to substantiate the return. So in other words, Eddie Alexson didn't make any investment at all. He didn't make any money anywhere. He didn't sell anything. He didn't make any profit. He was just simply telling people, hey, every week, come into your e-wallet, log into the EminiFX account, and you will see your money goes up. Now, if you wanted some of your money, I mean, he had your money. He had $5,000, let's say $5,000 of your money. So if you wanted $2,000 back, you can get it. Even if you wanted all of your money back, you would have been able to get all your money. But your money, your initial investment, plus whatever interest that Eddie said you were being paid or you were getting, that money did not come from investment. That is what we call a Ponzi scheme, where somebody is using somebody else's money to pay you and making you think you're making money. Now, this is all from this report. And like I've said to people, if you go to my website, to my blog, TrueNewsBlog.com, I'm sorry, TrueNewsBlog.com, the report is there. And you can read it yourself. You don't have to listen to me. This is all public information, so I'm not giving you an opinion. I'm not telling you this is what I think. I'm telling you this is what the report said. And Eddie Alexson read the report, his lawyer read the report, and they all agreed to it. They didn't object to the fact that there was no trading made. So they all know what happened. Now the truth is out. We know what happened. And based on what this report says, I am glad to safely conclude, well, I'm not glad, but I can safely conclude that this was a Ponzi scheme. This is what a Ponzi scheme is. Now, in defense of Eddie Alexson, I have to speak to that too. In defense of Eddie Alexson, maybe Eddie Alexson didn't understand what a Ponzi scheme was or what a Ponzi scheme is. Maybe he didn't have the intent to do this. Maybe he thought if he collect all this money and eventually invest it and create a computer system that make it looks like people are making a return on their investment, then eventually when the real investment come back, he would have replaced the money and everybody would have been happy and everybody would have been satisfied. But that's not the way it works. It doesn't work that way, guys. That's not the way it works. You cannot take people's money, promise them you're going to invest it with and just don't invest it and do whatever you want with it. That's not going to happen in the United States. And a lot of you, many of you, I should say, have made statement about maybe they're coming after Eddie because he's Black, he's Asian. Listen, I feel you. I understand that. And I'm not saying that maybe that part of it. But when the evidence is clear in front of you, you can argue with facts. This is the fact, guys. This is the fact. There was never any investment. Now, I know some of you is going to say, well, what about real estate? What about this? What about that? Now, the report, as I said, 61 pages, detail every single would-be investment. Now, it is true that Eddie Alexson was going to do what we call a real estate investment portfolio. Now, in my next video, I'm going to talk about that. And I would explain to you why even with that, he didn't make the investment. He was about to before he was arrested. But if he had made the investment, all of you would have lost your money because the investment would have been one of the worst investment in real estate, okay? So, sorry to tell you guys that this really is not the news that I wanted to bring, but when I get a copy of this report I'm holding in my hands and I read the report, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised because I knew from the beginning what this was about. There was never any investment. So if you were getting money every week, it wasn't because Eddie invested in cryptocurrency or he invested in real estate and somehow he made a profit and he give you 5 or 10%. That's not what happened. Sorry to say you, sorry to disappoint you, but that's not what happened. Now, the government is what the government's been saying. And I hate to say that the government is right, but the receiver will not lie about that. And if there was any type of investment that could justify the return to the investors, Eddie's lawyer would have written a letter to say, responding to this report and say, hey, we object to this report. Here's the evidence that there was investment. So they all know that there were any investment. Okay? So I don't want to make this too long because I'm sure that you guys sitting in your living room wondering, oh my God, I can't believe this. But yeah, you can believe it, it's true. So please, I will continue to update you on the Eddie Alexson case. I will continue to bring you news from the court, from both cases. I will speak to you a little more about this report, but this is video 1, part 1 of the receiver's report. So there'll be part 2, part 3, part 4, maybe part 5. But I'm going to take this very slowly so that you guys can understand what really happened with EminiFX and why this was a bad deal from the beginning. I have been saying this from the time I look at EminiFX back in September. I have friends of mine, family member, who've asked me if they should invest. I consoled them. I told them no, they did invest, and they may lose all their money. They didn't listen to me. So I hope you listen. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and tell your friends, your family member to watch the professor. Thank you.